Minnesota. So, Coach, we'll start with you. Would a Vikings reunion be good or bad for JJ McCarthy?
Well, I went back and I looked at what was said when he left, and according to the way it played out, he had a great relationship with the organization, he had a great relationship with the city, he had a great relationship with the head coach. Like, all those things are fine. It really just came down to guaranteed money and the extension. And at the end of the day, Minnesota wasn't willing to do it, and Atlanta was, and that's why he left. So him going back to Minnesota, I think it is fine from a culture fit and a there's no hard feelings there. So that could be really positive. Very different than if Aaron would go back to Green Bay. I think the biggest issue is he said the reason he wants to leave Atlanta is to be a starter. And I don't think Minnesota is in a position right now where they're willing to say, hey, you can come here and be the starter. I don't even think they're willing to say, hey, you can come here and compete to be the starter right now.
Yeah, I don't like it just because I think next year is about seeing what JJ McCarthy is. I think they don't want to necessarily take a step back, but they understand maybe we will, but this might be our quarterback of the future. Even if JJ is bad and you like, oh, he's not our guy, Kirk's not your guy, so why bring him in? Like, he's not the guy of the future.
I don't think it'd be bad for JJ. I agree with Coach. It's not ideal for Kirk, but I think that, let's just say the Browns do an about-face. Well, I shouldn't say do an about-face. The Browns, it's all subterfuge, and they love Shedeur and they're drafting him. So they're out, they're out, and that Rodgers, the moon is in, the right waxing or waning, and he's signed with Pittsburgh. And Atlanta's like, hey, they would like to give us something for you to go there and be the backup. You also can stay here and be the backup. And Kirk was fine with it. I think it'd be great for JJ. I think it's kind of the perfect setup where he knows the coach, he knows the city, he knows the organization. Because the fans know him as well, there's not going to be the bench JJ for Kirk.
You don't think? If they start poorly, that's why I don't like it.
Oh,
yeah,
see, I think the fans in Minnesota like and appreciate and respect Kirk Cousins, but also are acutely aware, like.
No, I disagree. I think if JJ McCarthy was like legitimately struggling and they were, not playing well, like the offense just wasn't getting going, and, JJ in 3 games has 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions and a fumble or something, people would start to get anxious. And the fact that Kirk Cousins has already played with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson, et cetera, and had success, yeah, there'll be some angst. You'll even feel, you'll potentially feel some pressure. Even if Justin Jefferson's not getting the ball from JJ and things are looking weird, like you'll start to kind of feel that pressure where like JJ's, Justin Jefferson, now there's lots of JJs here, but Justin Jefferson will be like talking to Kirk and being like, yo, man, like, well, I know you can sling it. Like things could get weird kind of quickly. In a vacuum, like I think if Kirk Cousins never played in Minnesota, or it was known I'm just kind of here to be a backup, there's just no chance that I'm going to be a starter, then yeah, I mean, anytime you can team up someone like Kirk Cousins, the quality of player that he is and the quality of person that he is and the maturity and experience that he has with someone as young as a JJ McCarthy, well, then yes, because in a vacuum, JJ McCarthy would learn a tremendous amount from Kirk Cousins, a tremendous amount, like Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith, like good people, good teachers, good players who have a lot of experience succeeding and failing. Someone like Kirk Cousins is just an endless stream of experience, of information, of guidance. And so someone like JJ McCarthy would soak that up. Would absolutely soak that up. And so, yeah, that is a very undervalued aspect of what it takes to learn and grow to be a great quarterback. Having that older guy who's currently still a quarterback and not just a coach like an Andy Reid or McVay or whatnot, like having a player that's like truly like, like literally just last season, I'm going through what you're going through. Like there's just a little bit deeper of a connection and like I said, a lot to learn that you can, it really does become kind of like a mentorship. And so, yeah, I think someone like JJ could really benefit from that. And it is just different when you have your coach, because your coach is still, even if you have a great family, great father, et cetera, like a coach still becomes very much a kind of like a father figure. kind of maybe like an uncle of some sort. And another player is still going to be more like your brother, and you don't tell everything to your parents, you don't tell everything to your uncle. Like you're still going to confide in different ways and have different moments, and you're gonna have different jokes, different, you're just gonna talk about different things. What JJ would talk about with Kirk Cousins is just going to be different than what he talks about with Kevin O'Connell. It's just different. It really is. And again, all of that stuff is really valuable for when things are going great, when things are going bad. Like it's just there's just a groundingness to it all that I think that someone like JJ, especially considering this team and how great the roster is and what the expectations and the feelings of what they can accomplish, having someone like a Kirk Cousins could greatly benefit him. But yeah, I do believe to my core. Yes, I understand. I believe that Minnesota Vikings fans are definitely ready for JJ to begin his journey, and they don't want to retread with Kirk Cousins, etc., etc. But make no mistake about it. There's a legitimate stretch of struggles with JJ. There will be absolutely positively conversations about Kirk Cousins without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. There's just no way. I remember even in the playoffs when Lamar Jackson, his first game, his first playoff game, was kind of having a rough go at it, and they were like, put Joe Flacco in, put Flacco in, and it was kind of like, no, man, like we are not going to do that. Like Lamar Jackson is the future of this team, whether we win or lose. Like he is the future, where we are not going to bench him and throw in Joe Flacco at this point. And yeah, I think unfortunately, even though Kirk Cousins in theory and on paper would be essentially the perfect backup quarterback and mentor for JJ, it just, on paper it makes sense, in practice makes less sense. Unless even if Kirk Cousins was kind of like, I'm ready to be, I'm in my dad era now, man. Like I'm ready just to kind of mentor these young guns, just kind of chill. Obviously if you need me to start, someone gets banged up, that's fine. But like, I'm not here trying to compete anyone's spot. I'm going to give you all the information I possibly can. I'm not going to hold back any secrets. My number is going to always be open for you to text me, hit me up. Like I'm there. Even if he's 100% on board with that, and like, I'm not trying to be a starter. There's still too much familiarity, especially with some of the players on the team, the coaching staff, that if there's just any roadblocks, any issues that JJ faces, it would just be impossible for you not to be like, I don't know. Kirk Cousins had a lot of success. He didn't have this O-line. He didn't have that. Justin Jefferson is even better than he is now than he was back then. Like you start to think. You start to think, well, that team really started getting momentum before Kirk Cousins got injured. Like it just happens. And then it'll be all the talks on the media too as well, which then feeds the fans, which then feeds the ownership and the people that are actually making decisions within the franchise. Like things spiral more quickly than they need be. So yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting question because I don't even know how like realistic it even remotely is. It doesn't feel like it is, considering it's one thing if Kirk Cousins was cut and released, then I could see that potentially being like a real conversation, but the Vikings would have to like trade for him, and I just can't imagine, and they're not going to take on any of his money because that's what the Atlanta Falcons want. So I can't imagine why the Vikings would even do this. So it's an interesting question just from a conceptual standpoint, and I don't mind doing that during the off season as much because it's kind of like, what else are we going to talk about? But in terms of like, is this even remotely possible? Feels practically no. So I don't know. Could just be a filler. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings potentially having a reunion with Kirk Cousins, and would this be bad for JJ McCarthy? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.